What's up? What's up?
Welcome to Let's Talk About It, where we give it to you raw and uncut. The podcast show where we speak what's on our mind. Now here's your host, Amina G.
Welcome. Good morning. Welcome to another episode of Let's Talk About It. I am your host, Amina G. So first of all, let me just say, the Let's Talk About It podcast show, we took a break for about 4 months. We were on a break for about 4 months. And now we're back ready to give it to you raw and uncut, because that's what we do. Today's show, I want to talk about the choking death of Jordan Neely. Jordan Neely was a 30-year-old black subway rider who was choked to death by another subway rider by the name of Daniel Penny, along with two other subway riders who helped subdue him on the F train in New York City. Um, he was choked to death on May 1st, and his funeral was just May 19th. So yeah, we have another one of our black brothers who has had his life taken away from him, as if his life doesn't matter. And something has to give with this thing is repetitive. It's happening too much. This kind of makes me remember the death of George Floyd and Eric Gardner. Eric Gardner was the black man that was choked to death for selling cigarettes. He was selling cigarettes, and he was choked to death for selling cigarettes. He just his settled his case for a mere $2,700. And then we had the knee and the neck of George Floyd. If you remember that, the officer put the knee in the neck and wouldn't get off of his neck, and he was killed. And he just settled his case. I believe it was for 5.9 million dollars, $5.9 million. But let me just say, it doesn't matter how much money that you give people, after losing their loved ones. There's nothing like having their loved ones in their life. No amount of money that you give can replace their loved ones in their life. It just can't be replaced. And to add insult to injury, this man right here that you see choking Jordan Neely, he was brought into the police station and questioned, and he was released the same day on his own reconduct. No bail, no jail, no nothing. He was released to go home and spend time with his family. He could go home and sleep in his bed, go home and be with his friends, while the Neely family had to prepare to go and identify the body of their loved one, Jordan Neely, in the morgue, and prepare to bury him and put him 6 feet under. So yeah, something is wrong
You're
with this
listening
picture.
to Let's Talk About
I
It
want to
with your
know
host, Amina G.
who gave the order. Who gave the order for Daniel Penny to be released after just killing a man, choking a man to death? Who gave that order to release him? Because whoever gave that order should be fired immediately. Immediately. He should be fired. You choke a man to death and you get questioned and you're able to walk away like that and go home after killing a man. No, you should be fired. Because you better believe, if the shoe was on the other foot, and that was Jordan Neely who had just choked Daniel Penny to death, you best believe his black ass would be in jail. They would have already arraigned him, already brought him up on charges. It probably wouldn't even be a bail. It just wouldn't be. Daniel Penny didn't have the right to come up behind Jordan Neely and place him in a chokehold and kill him with a strap hanger, a strap, one of the strap things that hangs on the subway. He didn't have a right to do that. He didn't have a right to come behind him and choke him at all. He just didn't have that right. Jordan Nelly, he was reaching out for help. He was hungry. He was ranting and raving, yelling that he was hungry, that he was thirsty. He was having a mental meltdown. To me, he was crying out for help. And that same energy that Daniel Penny used to come up behind Jordan Nelly and choke him, he could have used the same energy to ask the brother, was there anything that he could do for him? Could he buy him a bottle of water? Could he get him some food? Could he buy him a sandwich if he could? But he took matters in his own hand and decided to come up behind him and choke him to death. And it's really sad. It's sad.
You're listening to Let's Talk About It with your host, Amina G.
There has been a legal defense fund started for Daniel Penny, and the last I checked, that legal defense funds has already reached $2.67 million. $2.67 million has been reached so far to for Daniel Penny's defense team to defend him for killing a man. Um, it was 11 days after that Daniel Penny turned himself in to the authorities. And that was only after this murder, this killing on the New York City subway prompted a whole lot of protesting in New York City, a whole lot of protesting in the city. And so 11 days after he turned himself in to the New York City Police Department, he was arraigned for second degree manslaughter, and he was released on $100,000 bond. And he's still out. He's still out. He has not entered a plea as of yet. He is due to go back into court. I believe it's July 17th. July 17th, he's due back in court. Um, yeah, it's not good. It's not good that you're able to choke a man to death, and people are praising you for it. It's just really sad. It's really sad. Um, Also, there has been more than 54,000 people to donate to Daniel Neely's, Daniel Penny, Daniel Penny's defense team. 54,000 people have donated, and up to 40,000 people has offered prayers to him. So what about Jordan Neely, the man that he killed? We just going to disregard the life that he took and act like it's okay. I don't understand that. Some of the people that have donated to this cause for his defense team are people that are known to us. I don't know how many of you remember Kid Rock from years ago. Kid Rock. Kid Rock donated $5,000 to the defense team for Daniel Penny. He donated $5,000 for this man choking another man to death. He donated to the cause for his defense team $5,000. And then you have Timothy Poole. Timothy Poole is a conservative commentator. He has donated $20,000 for the cause of Daniel Penny's defense team. $20,000 for this man killing this man on the New York City subway. So so Kid Rock has donated $5,000. Timothy Poole has donated $20,000, and then we have Vivek I hope I'm saying his name right. Ramsey Wam, I believe it is. He's running for the president of the United States. He has also donated $10,000 to this man, Daniel Penny defense team.
You're listening to Let's Talk About It with your host, Amina G.
Um, I don't understand, how all of these people feel that the killing of this man was okay for him to kill him. You have some people calling him a superhero. You have some people calling him a protector, American patriot, a good Samaritan. These are the names. These are the names that they're given to Daniel Penny as if he is some type of hero for killing another man. He choked a man to death, went in for questioning, was released on the same day. 11 days later, he turns himself in and let out on $100,000 bond. So far, $2.67 million has been raised for his defense team. And then you have people that are calling him a good Samaritan. Really? An American hero, an American patriot, a protector? A protector from what? Jordan Neely didn't have any weapons. There was no weapons. He didn't have a gun. He didn't have a knife. He didn't threaten anybody. He didn't approach anybody. He was yelling out loud on the train that he was hungry, that he was thirsty, that he didn't care if he lived or he died. And instead of somebody helping him, they came up behind him and choked him to death. And you are praising this type of behavior? And I don't want to hear that he was a former U.S. Marine. I don't care, because on this day right here, he was not a Marine. He was a murderer. He was a killer. That's what he was, and that's what he is.
You're listening to Let's Talk About It with your host, Amina G.
I want to play a clip of Daniel Penny's of Jordan Neely, Jordan Neely's funeral. His funeral was held on May 19th, and Reverend Al Sharpton did the eulogy for the services. I want to play a clip of his body arriving at the church in Harlem, New York, the Baptist Church in Harlem, New York. I believe the name of the church was, do I have it in front of me? Yeah, the name of the church was Mount Nebo Baptist Church. I believe it is Mount Nebo Baptist Church. So I'm going to play a clip of that. And, it's really sad. This is the same church that Jordan Nelly's mother funeral was at in 2007. She was murdered, Christy Nelly. She was brutally murdered by Jordan Nelly's stepfather, and her funeral was also held here at this church in Harlem, New York, Mount Nebo Baptist Church. So let's look. Once again, we are looking at Jordan Nelly's body being brought into Mount Nebo Baptist Church in New York City, in Harlem, I believe it is, for his services. I'm also going to play a clip of the Reverend Al Sharpton, who gave the eulogy at his service.
The Samaritan, and Jesus said he stopped to help the man, and Jesus called him a good Samaritan. A good Samaritan helped those in trouble. They don't choke them out. What happened to Jordan was a crime. And this family shouldn't have to stand by themselves. These lawyers, Lennon Edwards and Dante, shouldn't have to stand by themselves. Because when they choked Jordan, they
We're
put their
listening
arms
to
around
Reverend Al
all of
Sharpton,
us.
who is doing
All
a
of us
eulogy
have the right to
at
live.
Jordan Neely's funeral. He is the 30-year-old black male that was choked to death on a New York City subway
I
by
was
Daniel
traveling
Penny.
and I watched the news, and I was telling Bishop Daughtry, who I grew up mentored by him. I was Jesse Jackson's youth director and his youth director since I was 12. And I was telling him that I remember in the late 80s, they killed a young black man in Howard Beach named Michael Griffin. And they ignored us. So we called a day outrage, and I jumped on the tracks, and we jumped and blocked the trains. And they gave me 45 days in jail. I hope y'all that jumped on the tracks, they don't give you all the time I got. But what bothered me as one that has done that and will do it some more if I have to.
This is the funeral service of Jordan Neely. He is the 30-year-old black male that was choked to death by Daniel Penny, a subway rider on the New York City subway.
I want to know why they let him go after he killed an unarmed man that hadn't threatened anybody. Nobody hurt nobody jumping on the tracks. There was no violence in the protest. The violence is when you choked Jordan to death. You chasing the wrong people. You looking for the wrong people. Let me get this right. A boy is on the train screaming for help.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton giving a eulogy over Jordan Neely,
from behind,
who was choked on a New York City subway train by Daniel Penny.
How does somebody come up from behind?
He was choked to death on a New York City subway train for yelling that he was hungry, that he was thirsty.
Behind, there was no weapons. There was no language. Nobody was threatened. And you grab him and put him in a chokehold.
He was having a mental breakdown, if you ask me, a mental meltdown. And instead of anybody helping him, this man decided to come up behind him and choke him to death.
If Jordan was impersonating Elvis Presley, if Jordan had been a different race, and they had him impersonating Elvis, and a black guy put Elvis impersonator in a chokehold, and two black guys held him down, they would not have let that black guy leave the precinct that night.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton talking. He is at Mount Nebo Baptist Church. This is the funeral service of Jordan Neely,
Mildred and the family are not
30-year-old choked to
favors.
death
They want
on the
justice.
New York City subway.
Do what you would do
Daniel
for
Penny.
anybody else, and until you do, we're going to stand with this family.
And two other subway riders also helped hold him down. Those names have not been released as of yet, but they also should be charged with manslaughter.
Aunt Mildred told me on the phone, then I talked to the father, how Jordan impersonated Michael Jackson. Zachary told me he loved Michael. And many of you know I preached Michael's funeral. I committed Michael's body to his grave. He'd come up to the House of Justice here in Harlem, worked National Action Network. That's why I was glad my dance partners here, AOC, me and her danced and went viral in her office. Give her a hand. She stood up for Jordan. Despite whatever mental challenges he may have had, he wanted to be something. He didn't want to be a drug dealer.
This is Reverend Al Sharpton giving the eulogy at Jordan Neely's funeral.
Michael Jackson. He wasn't trying to be something negative. He wanted to be like Michael, that made the world smile and get on one
black
beat.
male that
You
was choked
didn't
to
have
death
the
on the
right
New York
to
City
snatch
subway.
the life out of this young
He
man.
had no weapons, no guns, no knives. He didn't approach anybody. There was many witnesses that said he never approached not one person on that subway when he was choked to death. Not one person.
You're listening to Let's Talk About It with your host, Amina G.
Jordan Neely was homeless. He was homeless. There's no question about that. Or, he was a homeless man. But that did not mean he wasn't a good person. It didn't mean that he wasn't a good person. He was also a impersonator of the late, great Michael Jackson. He loved to impersonate Michael Jackson. So if you rode the subway and in the area that he was always at, you might have been blessed to see him dance. I'm told that he was a good dancer and a good impersonator of the late great Michael Jackson. He loved to dance to make people happy and smile. If you were on your way to work, if you were coming from work, if you were shopping, whatever you were doing, he would be dancing. If you donated to him, you donated. If you didn't, it was still okay. That's what he did. Mental illness is real, y'all. Mental illness is real. And there has to be more that it needs to be more that has to be done. It has to be something, I should say, that needs to be done more to help people that is dealing with mental illness. Choking them, killing them is not an option. It's just not an option. They are killing our brothers and sisters left and right. Choking them, choking us, I should say, killing us. When is it going to stop? So many deaths in the Black community, and unnecessary deaths that we experience almost on a daily basis. I have so much news. Some of the things are not even talked about, and it's bad. Now we have civilians taking matters in their own hand, choking people to death. It doesn't make any sense. You're listening to the Let's Talk About It podcast show. On this show, we give it to you raw and uncut. I don't care who likes it. I'm going to say it how it is. You can tune in every Sunday morning at 10 o'clock a.m. to listen to the show. And before I end this show, I want to ask, how many people think that Daniel Penny will be prosecuted for the murder of Jordan Neely? How many people think that he will be convicted for the murder of Jordan Neely? That's the question that I leave with you guys today. Until the next time, take care.
We want to thank everyone for tuning in. Check back every Sunday at 9 a.m. for new episodes. You can find us on Buzzsprout and Let's Talk About It, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Facebook at Amina G100. Until next time, be safe. You have been listening to Let's Talk About It with your host, Amina G.
Let's Talk About It with Amina G.
Welcome to Let's Talk About It, where we give it to you raw.
The podcast that deals with issues America needs to hear.
I mean, the more we talk to them about it, the more we fight about it, the more we march, the more we fight against it.
And you can find it just about anywhere online. You have no excuse not to listen. Find Let's Talk About It with Amina G on Spotify, Buzzsprout, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, Facebook at Amina G100, Instagram at Amina_G, spell that G-E-E, and YouTube at Let's Talk About It with your host Amina G. Email aminagpodcast@gmail.com. There, if you can't find it now, that's on you. Let's Talk About It with Amina G. Listen to it anywhere.